You know, you have to think a September hunt in the southeast area, you know, you're gonna see highs in the 80s, 90s, lows maybe getting down to the upper 60s. You know, it can be very, very hot. But as we were getting closer and closer, rain was the dominating factor. The remnants of a hurricane was coming right up over the area, dumped some flooding rain, 2 to 4, 5 inches of rain. Made things muddy, but made things cooler. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking, boy, they're gonna get up. We're gonna see some good deer go down. So as we're kind of gearing up and everybody's easing out, heading to the stands, you know, working our way in there, we got to our location and we're, you know, hiking down basically what's the top of a ridge, kind of working our way about halfway down it in there. All the guides had talked about the different bedding areas, talked to George about some of the areas that he thought the deer were gonna travel in and out of. We kind of slid across the field and started working our way up into the stands, and it, to me, just felt like a great evening set. It was gonna be a great evening set no matter what, but man, my anticipation, I gotta tell you, I was like a kid on Christmas Eve knowing that Santa was here. Yeah, after settling into the stand, you know, Kevin was running the camera behind me, pretty awkward little setup, but you got to go where the tree is. And I had decided to try to sit down on this particular hunt here. Felt like it gave me the best opportunities to shoot across this little food plot along this little edge of brush here. And everybody felt pretty confident that the deer traffic would be coming, you know, off our right. The wind was blowing kind of in off of our left here a little bit, blowing away off and down into another valley. We were kind of looking down in another holler, another valley in front of us. And we'd set for a couple of hours when a doe and a couple fawns kind of began meandering by. A great sign. You know, I didn't expect the bigger bucks to get up till later anyway. And then here come another little group of does. They were a little bit more nervous. We kind of lost our wind. They were kind of probably scented us a little bit maybe, or heard us moving in the stand, not really sure what, but you know, we were getting closer and closer to the magic time. Coming out of the right, there was a couple of cedar trees there, and here was coming a stud, and this stud was in velvet. My heart instantly started going up. I could feel the excitement, and you know, he's easing, and I'm thinking this deer is on a string. He's gonna work down this little edge of this food plot. He's gonna cross 13, maybe 15 yards by, and I've got a tree limb hanging right there that I know he has to get past before Kevin can see him, but he also has to get past that before I can get a shot. And I'm just sitting there, bow's on a hanger, and I've just got my hands on the bow waiting to lift it off. I'll just smoothly go to full draw. I mean, this was gonna be about as easy as a setup as a guy could have. And the deer stopped, and he stood there, and he stood there, and he stood there. And my heart rate went up, my heart rate went up even more. And I mean, I'm just sitting there watching this deer, and he's not even really moving. He's just kind of hanging out. And there was another younger buck behind him, but I never even looked at that deer because the deer I'm looking at was tall, big, wide, mature, and he was in velvet. I'm a big believer in shooting when you're the most confident. I'm the big believer in, you know, quartering towards your deer, even slightly at all, is a hard shot, especially of a big deer, any deer really. There's no especially about it. And this deer to me never really opened up for the shot that I wanted to take. He never really turned the right way. Could I have taken that shot? Could I have killed him? Absolutely. But it was more apt to wound him. At least that was the angle that I kept seeing in my mind from where I was. So in those types of situations, there's no need. There's no need to take that shot. I kept waiting for that deer to come the right way. He just simply went the other way. Encounter that I've been dreaming of here in Kentucky. Big buck in velvet. For whatever reason, he kind of moved up that ridge. He got out there 26, 30 yards. And, I mean, once again, I could take that shot all day long, but he was looking right at me the whole time. I don't know if he picked us off, you know, heard my heartbeat or whatever it might have been, but he was looking at me, and he was slightly quartering towards me. And, you know, it's a deer on full I just wasn't going to take that shot. I wanted to wait till he turned his head, looked away, then I would draw or take a step, open up more vitals and not be looking at me the whole time. He just never did. And maybe we'll see him again, or maybe it'll be the different deer, but that was a great first evening set here in Kentucky. Rain stopped, warm up. That's pretty cool. Good day. Good day. Just that far away from success.
Well, now it's the following day in the afternoon, and Wade is heading back out to the same stand where he saw that buck in velvet the day before, hoping that he'll return.
It's counterproductive to hunt deer in the mornings when they're on a feeding pattern. These large bachelor groups on these feeding patterns, if you bust these deer out in the morning trying to go in the dark, they're not on the same pattern they were the night before. So when we set up on these deer, we're setting up on food sources to kill them when they come out in the afternoon. And just hunting mornings is counterproductive. So our hunters love being able to sleep in and just kind of goof off, play pool, play ping pong, go play golf, go fishing, whatever, and then just going out for a good relaxing hunt in the afternoon.
The wind wasn't really perfect for another place that George wanted us to go, and so I was all about going back where we set the night before and giving that deer one more chance. I mean, I'd already mounted that deer. I had a place in my mind where I was gonna hang him. I'm good. And so we go back in the stand where we got geared up, did everything, climbed the fence, eased down to the stand, got set up. We set for about 4.5 hours, and we never saw a deer that night. That happens. That's hunting. You know, would I have done anything different? No, because I know there's a shooter there. And I almost got a shot at him the night before, so why do something different? But, you know, you can hindsight that stuff 20/20. You've got to make a decision and you got to live with it. I was great with that decision because I knew what lived there. You know, a big part of our trip to Kentucky was also going to include going down to Asheville, North Carolina, where the Yamaha motorcycle and side-by-side team was going to be launching some incredible new products for the 2018 year coming up. So as we're getting ready to head out right now for our final afternoon of hunting, part of my mind is already looking forward to what's coming ahead because I know Yamaha's got some great new innovative products. So as we're walking out to this field for the final setup for the final day, you can kind of see how great it would have been to have an ATV or a side-by-side on some of this trip right here, because we're going to walk maybe about 1.5 miles around this big, long, flat, rolling hill. We've got some soybean fields on one side we're hiking by. Once we get up on top of a ridge, we're going to ease down a little bit further into a couple of pinch points that are going to be set up in the area. Really looks like a pretty unique setup for the wind that we've got. We've got it coming from our right off to our left shoulder, and there's a big pond kind of coming up out of a little valley there with lots of bedding areas in that same spot. According to everything that we're being told by the guides and by George, the deer have really been hitting this spot pretty hard late in the evening, which is what you would kind of expect for an open area like this. It's a great feeding area. So we're gonna climb way up in a tree. We're about 22 feet up this evening. We'll get set up and we'll see what comes in for our final evening in Kentucky. This stand is pretty phenomenal from a setup standpoint. I can see deer coming from 360 degrees, and we've got deer that have eased out in a lot of these edges as the sun's setting. Got about 1.5 hours probably left in the hunt right now, and the deer are starting to show up. We've had one giant buck cross about 250, 300 yards behind us. We've had some fawns come by, a few does. Turkeys have hit the area, but one negative. We've got 2 coyotes working the area pretty hard. a great set. We had a lot of deer come in this whole area this evening. Actually saw 2 or 3 really good deer that crossed the field behind us. You know, I don't know how good they were. They just kind of run across. Bow hunting for deer season, it's all about just being in the right spot where a big group of bachelor bucks come in. We had a lot of does, a lot of young bucks kind of passed through. Saw some coyotes chasing ponds. Just didn't go down. Beaver's the thing. Yeah, this evening was a great set. We eased in there, got set up. I mean, the wind's perfect. Got a pond over there. Great field on both sides of us. Pinch points all around. I mean, this is just a setup. We saw some does, saw some fawns, saw some young bucks come right on our side, but on the other side of us, we saw those really good bucks. That's just how hunting goes. The reality of it is, I had a great encounter that first day with the deer in velvet. That's why I came to Kentucky. Didn't get lucky, didn't get shot, didn't present what I was looking for. Will I be back? Absolutely. I'll be back next year. Put myself in a position where I can do this and fulfill my dreams of tagging a big old velvet buck from Kentucky. Great time over here though. Wouldn't trade this hunt for